And now on talkSPORT Extra Time, lights, camera, action, something very special for the weekend. We've got 6 movie recommendations, a packet of 3 from Van Connor, 3 from me, all available on Freeview platforms. And Van Connor joins us now. Good morning, Van, and how's your week been, Van?
Excellent, Mr. Ross. All the better for speaking to you as always, sir.
And I think you've got a couple of new projects on the way, but we'll talk about those in a bit, if we may. But let's start with your recommendation for today, and it's a sequel or a reboot. It's Punisher Warzone, 5-star, 10:45. Why have you gone for this one, Van?
I have a ridiculous soft spot for this movie. It's one of those movies that was meant to be an amazing sequel to the 2004 Thomas Jane adaptation of The Punisher. This was meant to be Thomas Jane returning. It was meant to be Michael Keaton playing the villain, which would have been amazing. It all went to hell. They replaced the Punisher, they replaced the villain, so it works as a sort of quasi-reboot. There is almost no continuity with the first one, but it's a really fun, really schlocky OTT action movie.
And I have to say, I've seen this, and I love the fact Ray Stevenson's the Punisher. He's great, and Dominic West is the bad guy, Jigsaw. So they're both great actors, those guys. It's got a great cast, this.
It really has. There's Julie Benz in there from the Buffyverse, and Dexter, she's in there as well. Colin Salmon, we've known from British television in recent years as well. He's in there. You've got Dash Mihawk, Doug Hutchinson, who we talked about last week.
Well, that's right, and he's a great actor, Doug Hutchinson, and in this he plays a character called Looney Bin Jim, which is a great credit to have on your CV, isn't it? And you've got a clip for us,
Really, I've got a clip for you. It's one of my favourite moments. This comes just after the Punisher has taken out a parkour runner with a rocket launcher as part of his interrogation technique.
As you do. Let's have a listen.
Please. Don't kill me.
Rosati. Where is he?
Yeah, man, Jigsaw. I was just with him. He was supposed to give me some dough for a job. But turns out, he don't have any anymore. He forgot he gave a whole bunch to that FBI rat. So, he went to go see on the tellies. To get it back. Something for something. Mr. Punisher, sir.
Ouch. Now, if you want an escape and a getaway, my recommendation is something rather different. It's 9 o'clock tonight. It's Sony Movies. This was a bit of a disappointment at the box office, given that it was based on a huge best-selling novel by Alex Garland. It's The Beach, directed by Danny Boyle, of course. Leonardo DiCaprio is the main star. Tilda Swinton's in it. Robert Carlyle's in it from the Trainspotting era for Danny Boyle. But this led, I think, to Danny Boyle and Ewan McGregor falling out for 7 or 8 years because he thought he was in line for it. And then Leonardo DiCaprio was offered. It was his breakthrough film. So, of course, they went with LDC. So real kind of escapist film, kind of a dark film as well. Did you like The Beach, Van?
I did. I was one of those people, though, I think, because of the age I was at the time. So this came out when I was 16, so it was marketed as a very different film to the rather cerebral, rather more Apocalypse Now-like film that we actually get. Especially if you've never read the novel, you wouldn't know that. But I was blown away by it, just in a completely different way than I'd expected from the marketing, I think.
And I think it might expand all our horizons. Some beautiful scenery, amazing shots in this. It's a Danny Boyle classic, I think, from the year 2000. It's The Beach, and here's the trailer.
He was looking for something new, a way to change his life.
Hey, you want to go? You need somewhere to stay?
No thanks.
You afraid of something new?
I guess there's this urban myth going around here at the moment. It's about a beach.
A secret beach.
On an island that no one can get to.
Somewhere, paradise must exist.
I just feel like everyone tries to do something different, but they always wind up doing the same damn thing.
1 kilometer.
2.
Richard? I don't know. I'm thinking miles, not kilometers. I'm American. So let's go.
So that's The Beach, Sony Movies, 9 o'clock tonight. And you've also got a kind of Pacific-type getaway feel to your recommendation now, although it's in animated form. Tell us about Moana. It's on BBC One. It's 5:50, I think, tomorrow afternoon, evening.
Like your selection as well, this one comes with a belter of a soundtrack. Obviously, The Beach came with Pure Shores by All Saints and Porcelain by Moby. Moana comes with a soundtrack courtesy of Lin-Manuel Miranda, with Dwayne Johnson making his singing debut on screen
so
as well.
He's the guy behind Hamilton. Also, he played he was the kind of gaslight man in Mary Poppins Returns, wasn't he? The luminary.
Very much so. I'd say Moana is a sort of a Polynesian-themed Disney tale, introduces, the titular new Polynesian Disney princess who goes on an adventure to track down the lost god Maui, a notorious mythical prankster, to enlist his help in returning a lost object to the gods of the sea in order to restore environmental harmony and save her island people. And I've got a clip for you of her bargaining in her own specific way.
Off we go then.
Maui, shapeshifter, demigod of the wind and sea, I am one
Hero of men.
What?
It's actually Maui, shapeshifter, demigod of the wind and sea, hero of men. I interrupted from the top. Hero of men. Go.
I am...
Sorry. And women. Men and women. Both. All. Not a guy-girl thing. Maui is the hero to all. You're doing great.
What? No, I'm here to...
Oh, of course. Yes. Maui always has time for his fans. Mm-hmm. When you use a bird to write with, it's called tweeting. Huh? I know, not every day you get a chance to meet your hero.
You are not my hero, and I'm not here so you can sign my oar.
Now, that is a lovely, sweet film. That's Moana. That's tomorrow afternoon, evening, 5:50. I love it when films start on British television at odd times like that. 10 to 6 in the Old Bailey on BBC One. Now, I'm going for a very different movie tomorrow night. One of the funniest and filthiest comedies, I think, of the last 10 years. It was a big hit in 2011. It's had a sequel. It's on ITV2 tomorrow night, 9 o'clock. I mean, the cast is fantastic. Kristen Wiig, who co-wrote it. Melissa McCarthy, who is brilliant in pretty much everything apart from the dire Ghostbusters reboot. Chris O'Dowd, Rebel Wilson, John Hamm, and even Matt Lucas turns up in Bridesmaids. This was an absolute revelation. I mean, I think this has set the bar, set a new benchmark for female comedy, has it not, Van?
Very much so. It was a huge hit. It garnered awards buzz for Melissa McCarthy, and as well as making stars out of a lot of the cast members who came from Saturday Night Live and US comedy, it also made a star out of Paul Feig as well, the writer-director of this, who had until that point really been seen as a sort of number two to Judd Apatow, and it's amazing how quickly the tables turned when this finally got released. And he also was, of course, responsible for that Ghostbusters reboot you mentioned as well. And
he worked a fair bit, I think, with Melissa McCarthy. I think it cost $32 million. It made on first release $288 million.
Whoa.
I'm sure you've seen it. It's full on. It is filthy at times. Very funny though. ITV2 tomorrow night, 9 o'clock. Let's have a burst of the trailer.
I'm engaged.
Oh my God!
He asked me last night.
What is happening?
So will you be my maid of honor?
Of course I will.
I don't know what I'm supposed to do.
No, just whatever.
Throw the bachelorette party.
Yeah.
And shower and... Oh my God. Let's go meet the rest of the bridal party.
Come on. You have to punch it a couple times.
You remember my cousin Rita? They just bought a new house. It is gorgeous.
I wouldn't know. I only see the kitchen and the laundry room and the ceiling in my bedroom. Sometimes the floor.
This is Becca from work.
Is this your husband? Oh, no, I don't know him. I'm single.
I was so distraught when I was single.
Great stuff. I'm definitely watching that one tomorrow night. And we've also got a Sunday recommendation from me now. 9 o'clock, Sunday night. It's on 5 Star from 1992, which gave me pause for thought, because I would never have thought that A Few Good Men is now, 28 years old. Oh. And of course, it was directed by Rob Reiner, who gave us things like When Harry Met Sally and Spinal Tap. But he proves in this he can really do a great kind of military courtroom drama, can't he?
Absolutely. Rob Reiner has, especially in recent years, lent more towards activism. When he has gone into filmmaking, has gone for something of an agenda, something of a political bent to it. The thing with A Few Good Men as well is that this formed our introduction to the great Aaron Sorkin. This was his stage play that he then adapted for the screen and has built a career as an almost mythically brilliant writer, as a result going on to create things like The Social Network, The Newsroom, Studio 60 on the Sunset Script, and of course, probably most famously, The West Wing as well.
And I think William Goldman, who gave us Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid, also a master scriptwriter. I think he may have had a hand in tinkering with it for the big screen. And the cast is amazing, folks. Tom Cruise, of course. Jack, You Can't Handle the Truth Nicholson. Demi Moore. Oscar-winning Cuba Gooding Jr., Kiefer Sutherland, and Kevin Bacon. I mean, this is a cast to die for. And Hollywood does love, cinema favours, I think, courtroom dramas, doesn't it? Because actors love them, because they get very long speeches. They love all that, don't they, actors?
Very much so. One actor I will add to that list of yours as well, because I don't think he ever gets any anywhere near enough props. The late, great J.T. Walsh, who appeared in this as well.
Great film. We've got the trailer. It's A Few Good Men. It's Sunday night, 9 o'clock on 5 Star. Enjoy.
You ever served in an infantry unit, son?
No, sir.
Ever served in a forward area?
No, sir.
Ever put your life in another man's hands, asked him to put his life in yours?
No, sir.
We follow orders, son. We follow orders or people die. It's that simple. Are we clear?
Yes, sir.
Are we clear?
Crystal.
But I'm afraid, Van Connor, you have set up in opposition to me. I've given you A Few Good Men, and you've raised me 9 o'clock Sunday night on Film 4, Stargate. Another belting film, this, though, isn't it? Spawned kind of TV series and all sorts. Great film. Tell us about Stargate.
Stargate is one of my all-time favourite movies. It became the first tattoo I ever got, this movie. It's hang
on. Not Moana, then. It was Stargate first.
Not Moana, no. It was Stargate first. It was the Stargate address for Earth. And I'll tell you something, Paul. It's very interesting when you're in a gym changing room and people do spot it and recognise it and feel the need to talk to you about it. It's a very odd experience.
Good conversation starter. Give us the setup for those who haven't seen it or maybe have forgotten about it, because it's from a good few years ago now, isn't it?
Well, this was 1994. This was really the sort of breakthrough project for Roland Emmerich and Dean Devlin, who 2 years after this would go on to give us Independence Day, 2 years after that Godzilla, and in the years since things like The Day After Tomorrow, 2012, movies like that. But this is a feature film exploration of what's effectively the alien astronauts theory, the idea that ancient gods were in fact aliens and that their magic was in fact alien technology. In this case, it's the Egyptian god Ra, who using an alien portal has effectively enslaved entire legions of ancient Egyptians on an alien world as a slave labor force. The US military finds this now derelict portal, which has been buried in the Egyptian desert. They find it in 1928. They spend 70 years trying to get this thing to work, go through it on an exploratory mission, courtesy of James Spader's outcast Egyptologist. He's something of a heretic and a renegade, and they quickly find themselves face to face with the greatest threat they could possibly have imagined. The team, of course, being led by none other than Kurt Russell as the great Jack O'Neill, who will, of course, go on to 15 years of television after this, played by none other than MacGyver.
And you've got a clip for us, Van?
I have indeed. This is James Spader's Daniel Jackson, basically laying out the backstory of Ra and how he came to his position of power.
Good stuff. Have a listen.
Ra took him and possessed his body like some kind of a parasite looking for a host. And inhabiting this human form, he appointed himself ruler. He used the Stargate to bring thousands of people here to this planet as workers for the mines, just like the one we saw. This mineral is clearly the building block of all his technology. With this, he can sustain eternal life. Now, something happened, where is it, back on Earth? A rebellion or uprising, and the Stargate was buried there. Fearful of a rebellion here, Ra outlawed reading and writing. He didn't want the people to remember the truth.
So that's Stargate, 9 o'clock Sunday night on Film 4, and you did a beautiful précis there in, a couple of minutes, and 2 minutes is now quite important in your life, is it not, Van Connor? Tell us about 2-minute movies and 2-minute TV.
2-minute movies and 2-minute TV is a new project I've been working on with my friend Sarah Phelan. She's handling 2-minute telly, I'm handling 2-minute movies, a new podcast series you can find on all good podcast platforms. Every week, 2 minutes, 120 seconds in which to review a movie. This week, I've been reviewing the new Woody Allen film, A Rainy Day in New York. And guest of honor, Zara, meanwhile, is reviewing every TV show that's coming our way. She's reviewing The Great coming up. We've got the other one. We've got Normal People. Anything great and big on telly and anything great and big on movies we're doing, and we're doing it in 120 seconds.
Okay, from your normal podcast provider, I'm sure, 2-minute movies and 2-minute telly. And we've also got, you're a busy bee, you're working with our pal for Monday mornings, Rebecca Perfect, aren't you? Tell us about that.
Rebecca and I work every Friday morning, as you know, on the Off-Screen Show on podcast platforms, giving you your ultimate guide to everything coming your way cinematically for the following 7 days.
I'm amazed, but very glad he's got time to squeeze us in as well. That's our mate Van Connor, tip-top TV and film critic, talking to me, Paul Ross, right here on talkSPORT. Extra time and that.